Here we go. All right. Good morning in Canada, PST time, America, and afternoon to the East Coast, and good evening to the rest of Europe and UK. Put your hands up if it's in the morning for you. That'd be me, Shannon. Chrissy, we're morning, and Mel, who is in the afternoon? Guessing that's afternoon, 6 o'clock this evening. I say Sandy, where's she gone? Um, I think Sandy's the afternoon, and then evening. That's me, Lucy, Karen, Danny, Nikki, Lorraine. Awesome. Cool. Look, Sandy's swimming with dolphins. Just like that. It happened so fast, Sandy. What are you afternoon, Sandy? Unmute, my lovely.
Yes, we're 1 o'clock here, Eastern.
Yeah. And where about are you?
Washington, D.C.
Yes, Washington, D.C. And Chrissy, you are
California, just up the road from
California.
Steph, actually. We're
That's
neighbors.
right. Wow, look at us lot. We're just so ooh la la is the word
And
that
I
comes
would
to
have never known that if it weren't for book club.
Ah, there you go. Yay, there you go. Okay, so we are Thursday, the 27th of February. I just want to say my condolences to two beautiful people on book club. They have lost their dogs and oh my God, like and big dogs, they are part of our family. So Joanne Kovacs, Joe, I'm so sorry. She lost a big St. Bernard's. And also to Donna Weiser, like literally not long gap between the two. So we're sending our love and light over the Rainbow Bridge to those beautiful souls, and they'll be there waiting for you when it's our turn to arrive, wagging their tail and licking, and and just being there for us. So just want to send lots of love. Um, okay, let us do the last week of this beautiful book that has. It's good when we get books that shake things up, isn't it? Because it shakes us up, right? Um, and it always shows us where we're at right now to, that on that journey to where we want to be. So we ended page 120, which was page 149, with champions understand success. Okay, so anybody loving this book? So Lorraine, yeah, Nikki's okay. Mel's okay. Yeah, Chrissy, yeah, okay. Um, okay, but not the best. Yeah. Yeah, I think again, it's nice to pick up, isn't it? It's I probably most of you are reading another book alongside this one.
I think it's the one you leave like next to the toilet and you pick it up, you do a daily read and you put it down and walk away, like the
Yeah,
John Maxwell daily reader. And
yeah.
actually, I
But
just got
are
this.
you remembering the information, Chrissy? What's the golden nugget from this book so far?
This one, I
Yeah,
think, the integrity, the honesty, like leveling up, just like I think it's kind of like a synopsis of all the things that we already know. It's the secrets, and it's like kind of like grab the best of everything that you've read from all the books.
hmm. Do you believe you're world class though, Chrissy? That's
I'm flip-flopping. No, I
Flip Flop CEO. That's a good book.
I definitely feel like certain things, yes, certain things I feel like could use some tweaking and improvements
Mhm.
and dialing in. So
Good. But you're not feeling down and out, you're like reading it going, God, like
oh no, but there are certain friends like when I call to share certain like things, like it's like you carry this red bubble or balloon in, and then somebody's just standing there waiting to pop it. And so there's certain people I just don't share certain things with anymore because I don't want my balloon popped. So, or I fill it with
yeah.
concrete and it's a stronger balloon and then they can't pop it. So then needle just bends. So I like that better. So.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. I remember on stage somebody talking about you're in a beautiful park. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. Let's say spring, as we're coming to spring, the leaves are starting to come on the tree, the early birds singing, that crisp blue sky in the spring. Lorraine's there with a beautiful, what flowers have we got going on? It was blue, it wasn't bluebells, it was.
Snowdrops, crocuses, and daffodils.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so stunning. Yeah, and that when you get the sun on you after winter, that feeling of oh yes. And then guess what? There's somebody in this beautiful park, and there's a tiny bit of poo that from a dog that somebody's picked up but missed. and all they've got is a magnifying glass, and all they're doing is looking at the poo and not looking around. And it's like, so many times people are focusing on the dirty children's, like, or the dog paw on the window, but they're not looking through the window to the outside view. And again, it's that, isn't it? It's that kind of like, are we making ourselves small, or are we seeing the bigger picture? Karen. Karen, what are you looking at? What are you doing? Why are you not giving 100% concentration to the book club? You've got a man, haven't you? There's a man there. He's distracting you. I can tell, Karen. Well, just tell him just to sit down and be quiet. Leave you to it. I can tell. I can feel your energy. Anyway, moving on swiftly.
It's not unmuting. It's just laughing. So yeah, guilty
I know.
by association.
She doesn't have to say anything. The smile is enough, right? She's satisfied. That's what I'm saying. Right. Okay. Where are we? Okay. Champions thrive on world-class self-talk. Self-talk. This is really important. And we have read Dr. Shad Harm's book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, haven't we? Yeah, we've done that book already. So interesting. Let's go from the top. Self-talk is what we say all the way to the average person's self-talk is negative. Lorraine, you do that first section. You stop at that bit. Nikki, you take over from, according to Dr. Helm's Tetter, I always think it's Helm's letter, but anyway, all the way down to is a convincing argument. Repetition is a convincing argument above the box. And then the last section, developing world class, all the way to go out and make it happen. Sandy, that one's on you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much for asking, Fiona. Self-talk is what we say to ourselves all day long. It is also how we say it. For years, philosophers, psychologists, and performance experts worldwide have known about the impact of self-talk has on us. That being said, average performers are oblivious to what they are saying to themselves and how it is affecting the quality of their lives. The pros have always been aware of the power of language in programming and reprogramming the human computer. Dr. Shad Helmstetter, in his magnificent book, What Do I Say When I Talk to Myself, writes up to 77% of the average person's self-talk is negative. According to Dr. Helmstetter, we spend our lives talking ourselves into and out of things. Champions believe and embrace this idea. As a matter of fact, the easiest way to know you're in the presence of champions is to listen to them. The world
Was
class.
I reading any of this, or are you reading it?
Sorry. Where was I to stop?
Yes.
I'm so sorry, Nikki.
Go ahead, Nikki.
Only because
Have I stolen your line?
you've read
I
about 4
apologize.
sentences past where I thought I was doing it.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Meanwhile,
you
Karen's still smiling, just just to give you an update. She's finding this book very entertaining.
We can't see below the waist, Nikki. There's something going on there.
Oh my God, ladies. This guy's good. If he's listening, he's thinking, this is what book club is this? I've never heard of anything like this in my life.
Nikki, can you just backtrack
50 Shades of Fiona.
Yeah. Nikki, backtrack and go
Just wait to
over
get
some
through
of
this
what I
book,
read
I've
because you've
decided.
got a really lovely voice, and I think it's better to hear from you, my love. So just go back to where you were supposed
Karen,
to
would you like
start.
this bit repeated, or? Okay. Thank you so much. According to Dr. Helm's Stetter, we spend our lives talking ourselves into and out of things. That's actually really true. Champions believe and embrace this idea. As a matter of fact, the easiest way to know you're in the presence of champions is to listen to them. The world class has spent years overcoming poor programming, and this process usually begins with the use of language, both with themselves and others. The great ones believe almost anything is possible simply because they have repeated that idea, and others like it, to themselves for years. To quote Dr. Helmstetter, repetition is a convincing argument. Repetition is the source of learning, is it not?
You two have the best voices.
Oh,
Just go. All right. Developing world-class self-talk may be the most powerful of all the mental toughness secrets of the great ones. Like most of the habits, traits, and philosophies in this book, it is so simple that it's often overlooked. As a result, amateur performers continue to perpetuate amateur language with themselves and others. Meanwhile, the great ones create ideas out of thin air, convince themselves achievement is possible, and then go out and make it happen. I love that.
Yeah, it's a doer thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just want to say, okay, so short term and long term, and it depends how we see how big what it is we want to achieve, right? So whereas that's the difference, and it's almost like, is there a delusion in that? But if you are somebody who comes from a place of decision making, then guess what? You don't get caught up in that, okay? Because the universe doesn't see 1 penny and 1 million. There's no difference in the universe
Mhm.
between the two. It's our definition of that. Yeah. So just coming back to this page here, 150, when it says, just up a wee bit, the part Nikki was reading, the world class has spent years overcoming poor programming, and this process usually begins with the use of language both with themselves and others. So, key there, years. Now, it's interesting. I remember meeting a girl a long time ago. I think, Nikki, I was driving, I don't even remember. I think we were going to your house, we were coming back from your house. It was a guest. I think we were doing some event there. And she had told me how I had kind of like was really getting into my journey of this, okay, development, personal development. And she said, we went on to the Secret Rhonda Byrne, and she said, yes, I bought all these books. I went into this, charity shop, and there were all these books, and it was all along the same line. And so I bought them all and I read them all, and nothing happened. My life stayed exactly the same. And I was like, what? Really? I was like, hold on. So what did you do with all this? And she went, oh, I just gave it back. And I was like, why would you? I said, so tell me, she said, well, I said, how many times did you read them? Once. Okay. And so how long did you expect from when you read them for something to happen? And she hadn't given it years. She'd maybe given it a couple of months. So this embodiment, I embody peace, power, and prosperity. It's a great affirmation I use. You have to become, it's like, you can't, this is why people you know, we hear like in Bob Proctor, all those books, they pray to God, and if it doesn't happen, it's like it's God's fault. But you have to embody this. You have to almost like there is like you have to believe it. That faith has to be so powerful that nothing can stop you. And it can seem to be to an extreme, you know? You've got to want it more than you want to breathe. So those are the bigger things in life. I've been saying, for years about being a forward executive national vice president. Lorraine, years to be a national vice president. Years and years. Does that mean because it hasn't happened yet, it's not? No, absolutely not. But we know if it hasn't happened yet, what's the work we have to do for it to happen? That's the difference. And it's going inside and questioning that. Whereas, for example, I just found out recently, my house now, my tenant's put in his, he's leaving, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm on top of this. So I'm like, all right. So the agency, they don't want to have me in the books because they're in Nottingham. It was somebody at BNI I met, so it's too far away. So it makes sense. I need a local agent. So I'm like, okay, had this woman's number on WhatsApp. I bought the house off her, phoned her. She's like, okay, great. Then it was like, I spoke to my old people. They're like, you need to have the tenant's number. And, we need to allow people to visit. Meanwhile, Lucy's got me on a group. Within 1 hour, there's 6 people who've like interested in my house. One of the girls, Lucy, of that, Kaylee, is going to see my house tomorrow at 4 o'clock because Andy, my handyman, had this guy's number. The agency hasn't given it to me yet. I phoned him directly this morning, got up early, set up another agency to go in there at 5. She's visiting the house at 4. Hey, Matthew, can we come in? Yeah, great. Otherwise, I'd still be waiting for these bloody agents to get their shit together. I haven't got time. These leaving the 15th of March. I want my mortgage as much as it to be covered as possible and not be out of pocket, $3,000. So this is the difference when, you can make things happen fast. Yeah, you've just, and it's like, it's not that hard. So why do we make it so hard for the big things to happen so fast? What is it? What's the block? Because we can play with the stuff. Vision board, remember? I was like, oh, I want an Indian Scout, which is a motorbike. I've always fancied a motorbike. I stuck up my vision board, kind of was having fun, wasn't serious about it, didn't get upset about it, didn't overthink it, didn't analyze it, and 3 days later there was my Indian Scout motorbike waiting for me outside a shop. Of course I didn't buy it, but it was awesome. It was awesome. I was like, thanks, universe. Yeah, you got my back. So why are we not really then? My question is, what is it we need to do for the things we really desire to have that hasn't yet come into fruition, yet you're eligible to? What is it? Because some things can happen like that. And when we know the universe, there is no difference between a pail of water or a sea. What is it? Nikki, your hand is up.
I've been reading about this because this is very apposite for this year, and because this year is all about alignment. So when you're aligned, meaning everything in you believes and trusts and thinks the same thoughts, and all aspects of you, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, are all aligned. Like, it fits with who you are, it fits with what you want, it fits with where you're going, and you literally match that energetically. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's, a tropical island or it's, a bounty bar.
Yeah.
Like that. It's going to be so quick this year. So that's what I teach, is alignment. So it gets to the point where you could say, right, give me the signs, and like, the numbers, and then, like, every time you think you see 1717, that means you're like really building strong, and like the different number, you're just like really, really in tune. And then when you actually stop asking for signs, you know that you're in alignment, because you just trust, you just know. But if you need constant confirmation and constant reassurance, then you're not ready. So that is why often we see a big thing as I'm not ready, that. But we're okay about a bounty bar.
Yeah.
A little bit more. But energetically, it's about alignment. So that's how you manifest. That's the law of attraction. That's, Esther and Jerry Hicks. It's, it's all of that. But the really key thing this time is about alignment. So, you can't say you want something and then actually really want something else, or, and also the really big thing for this year is physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So your physicality, our bodies are the instruments for like how we feel things. So, I was talking to a client today who's got a really bad lower back problem. And I'm like, that's actually stopping you manifesting what you want, because that's lower chakra issues. That's like money, it's security, you don't feel safe, all of that. So what we need to do is work on that and help you really get clear about clearing that, because that's historical. So it's that sort of energy work.
Mm-hmm.
So really look at how your physical body is and how it feels when you really like think about something. When you really, 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 you're saying you want something, but how is that actually physically feeling in your body?
Yeah. Sorry, Sean. I'm on book club. I'll call you back later. Bye.
Stan, I'm on book club.
Okay. Well, I'm on book club. Everybody says hi.
Oh, only if it's Jan.
Okay. Thanks. Bye. Bye.
Where's Karen? Are you laughing? Okay, she doesn't believe me.
Yeah, I love that, Nikki. I think you are so right. I get that, but you've also got to really want it, and then you've not got to doubt it. That's another thing. I've been
Yeah.
speaking to a lot of people about the
That's
surrender
alignment. If you
experiment.
don't want it, the universe knows, because as you know, money is just energy. What you want is just energy. Everything is just
Yeah.
energy, but we attach things to that.
Yeah, yeah. I remember going when I was in Nation Qual, Nikki, you and I were driving to Claire Slaney's house, I think. We were doing an event. And I was like, is it happening? Is it happening? Is it happening? And you were like, I'll just check with the angels. You're like, yeah, yeah. And I was like, yeah, it's happening, isn't it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And obviously, Nikki had to go region for me to go nation. And we were like so pumped. I mean, it was just
You're
that.
incredible though at that. You really you carried, it's like a boat like forging through, the weight. You were like so powerful with that. Honestly, you were formidably powerful. It wasn't not going to happen because you led it.
Yeah, thank
You were
you.
really, really phenomenal. I mean, it was a force to be reckoned with. I mean, there was no way that wasn't happening. You were pushing through concrete. I mean, like, that's it. It's done.
Yeah. And actually, thank you so much, Nikki. And thank you so much. And I feel I was
But that's what it was, wasn't it? I mean, it's not like kind of to butter you up or like anything, but that, don't you remember? I mean, it was so strong. You were
I
like
was pet,
so
yeah, and I
clear.
remember being petrified, guys,
You were so formidable.
$198,000 in 1 month and then same in next month, right? So just, think about it in sales, that's 400,000, almost 500,000 in 2 months in sales. And I remember I was like, I thought I have to be like, I have to like stand up. Like, if you knew the cure to cancer, you would stand on every building, on every roof and shout it out and you would give a flying peep who listened, who didn't, who cared, who didn't, you don't care. You would just be that kind of stake in the ground, right? And I remember being asked to do the road shows the second month in Nation Qual in Glasgow, London,
Was it
Birmingham, I
great?
think, and they flew me. Yeah, it was. It was every weekend, and this is me in Qual, and and doing all the activity. And I thought, well, I can't say no, and I don't know why, and taking the time out. So they flew me up to Glasgow, and da da da. And I remember standing on ground with my freaking stake and proclaiming in front of everybody, I will be a national vice president, by the 31st of May 20, oh my God, 2017.
2017.
Yeah, and I remember, now this is where it comes to the razor's edge, the leading edge, as Abraham Hicks says, the razor edge in Bob Proctor's book. It is such a fine line, and you can wobble and fall either side. That fine line, and that's when it comes to keeping in the straight and narrow, that blinker on a horse. It's like you are like this. That's
It's like an ice
focus.
skate. Those ice skaters this year in the Winter Olympics have really, really been formidable for me because it's exactly the same thing. I mean, you have to be so definite about what you're doing. And, they're doing triple axles. It's exactly the same energy as you're describing. If they weren't 120% in, they'd fall over.
So we all have that energy in us. So how can we up it? How can we, because that's it, isn't it? It's that, like it's almost like a beacon of light. You have to raise that, to that state of receiving what you want. Karen, your hand is up. I think Nikki's paused.
I think it's all right. I thought my mic wasn't off. I think that to raise your energy, I keep going on about this. You need to meditate and meditate and meditate some more. So you can begin to so that your body is the conduit for the universal force to come through and provide for you what you desire with faith. With faith, knowing that you wouldn't be put on a path if the universal divine consciousness didn't know that that path was for you to succeed on. You're never going to be put on a path that is not going to lead you to success if you do the work. And the work is you make sure that your body's fit, healthy, and fine, so there's no aches, no pains, as Nikki quite rightly said, because that's an indication that there's a blockage in energy. And then you draw that energy in. You draw the energy in, and when you draw the energy in, it's this intense focus that you manifest at the forefront of your intuitive center. And the more you practice that, the more you sit in silence and are able to commune with that divine energy, you will bring in whatever you want, whatever you want. But you need to put the work in. People don't put the work in. Like, for instance, as you said, your friends should read. People just read these books as if they're reading tabloid newspapers and expect shit to fall out the sky. It's not going to happen. You need to sit. You need to quieten your mind. You need to still the shit that's sorry, I'm going to stop swearing. You need to still the ego mind.
Mm.
Because if you don't still the ego mind, you're not going to get what you want. Once you learn the techniques to still your ego mind, the world will open up for you. It's so simple. Sit and be still. Sit and listen to yourself and allow your mind, appreciate how crazy your mind is when you're still. Your mind is crazy. All sorts of crazy shit will come into your mind when you're sitting, training yourself to have that laser focus in whatever it is you want to do and achieve. And then the more you do that, the more you start to feel this embodiment of energy. You know, it is the most divine energy that you could possibly begin to manifest within you because you're drawing it down. You're drawing down that energy into your physical vessel, which was designed to be fit and pure. And I believe that with manifestation techniques will give you your dreams. That's what I believe. But again, it's my belief.
Thank you. Thank you. Lucy, your hand was up.
It was by accident, really, but I think I got a bit overcome because the door knocked and my new product arrived. But the one thing I did take from what you're all saying as well, and we've heard it from you and through the books, not so much. I loved how Karen put it about manifesting, and I think a lot of people say that their mind gets overactive at night because it's probably the only time they're actually still and laying in bed and listening. And rather than listening to all the chitter chatter, that's when I meditate just before I'm going to sleep. But going back to the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I know that since doing all this personal development, I have disconnected from old friends and they have become acquaintances because they weren't serving my growth. And I think sometimes, we can manifest or think of, I'm looking at my vision board now, think we want these things, but while you're still surrounding yourself with even one negative, one bad apple in a crate, in a bag of apples, it's going to create badness coming into your mind. There we go. That's me done. But I'm just a bit excited about this new product. I'm going to read it now and listen half to you.
Ugh, what's she like? Can't get the stuff. Karen, love that. Thank you. So, okay, so there's a combination, so there are these different techniques we can use. And to me, I feel like I remember Bob Proctor in his book saying when he was broke and then he became a millionaire within a year, and he wanted to teach the techniques because he wasn't aware of what he was doing for such a radical change to other people. And that became his life purpose. He found his purpose. So, like Buddha says, we are here to find our, what is our purpose? So really, when you find your purpose, then through your strengths, then you're aligned, like you say, Nikki, then that's what you do and go help the world with, because it's your God-given gift. So on that note, on the alignment, if we go to page, this ties in beautifully. I'm thinking, where are my glasses? Oh, freaking head. Jesus, I'm turning into you, Lorraine. Kidding. So I know if you look on page 161, it ties in beautifully with the champions know abundant health begins with body weight. So Karen, can you please read from the top professional performers all the way down to commitment and mental toughness. Then I would like to get Mel, you can read the poverty working all the way down to cannot be overestimated, please.
Yeah, thank you. Professional performers know the foundation of good health is weight control. They know disease often begins with body weight. They know disease often begins when body weight is disproportionate. Champions focus on diet and exercise to manage their weight and overall health. They also know the real secret to weight control is commitment and mental toughness. Am I to carry on?
No, it's Mel.
Ah, right.
Middle class tend to believe that the right diet is the weight loss and control. The great ones realize the best diet in the world is worthless without decision and commitment. They also know they are in total control of what they eat and how they exercise. And if they slip out of balance in this area, they are quick to get back on track. Taking control of weight through conscious choice is a fast track to ascending to world-class levels in other areas of your life. For those who wish to ascend to greatness, this is a great place to begin. The confidence and power begin thin and healthy being thin and healthy will give you cannot be overestimated. Sorry, that's mine. The confidence and power being thin and healthy will give you cannot be overestimated.
It's sort of going, the confidence and power being thin and healthy will give you cannot be overestimated. It's kind of, there should be paragraphs. I mean, commas. Thank you, Mel. Okay, I find who puts being thin and healthy? Is thin healthy? No, I remember in the army having soldiers come in when I was in the gym, and we'd have these, if somebody was overweight, easy, too much pressure on their kneecaps, let's say, let's get them to lose the weight, get them fit, great. I used to have these skinny boys coming in smoking, like no body muscle on them. They were a nightmare because I had to build the muscle. So thin isn't necessarily fit. Um, I would definitely question that. Lorraine, your hand is up.
Yeah, because my background was fashion design and manufacture, I saw lots of different body shapes.
Oh yeah.
And there was a girl who actually had the most perfect body. If you had to pick the body, you would definitely pick this. But she had zero confidence, zero. And she wasn't aware of how fabulous she actually looked. And then I had other people who were so thin, you couldn't actually press the dress when you'd finished it because it was too thin to fit on the ironing board. Imagine, you all know what an ironing board looks like. And actually, she's now in Australia and she looks, I mean, she has an eating disorder and she looks horrendous. And there is a fine line. So I think it was Elizabeth Taylor said, as you get older, you can't have a great face and a great body. Well, there's a balance there, isn't there? And Coco Chanel said you can never be too thin and too rich, but you can. Maybe you can't be too rich unless you're mean and then you're going to keep it to yourself, but you can give it away. But yes, you can be too thin. And it is that, you know, how do I feel? Because there's no point in being an unhealthy thin person when you might be carrying an extra 4 or 5 pounds, and now it doesn't matter because you've now got the new Arbor product. But it is all about balances. Everything in life, isn't it? Eating healthy, having fun, having a glass of wine, having a cocktail, being healthy, having fun. It's a balance thing. And I think so often youngsters don't get the balance, but it's not so bad when you're younger. But as you get older, it's that compound effect, isn't it? It's that build on, and then you need to keep yourself in check. It's like, Karen does her yoga and all mindset and all the things that Nikki does. And I think so often people need to stop. They need to just shut out the noise and they just need to think, right, what is most important for me? Being healthy. Yeah, I was thinner when I was younger, but if I was that size now, I would probably look ill you know so it is just balance, and I'd far rather somebody was a few pounds heavier and healthy as opposed to overly thin, unhealthy, poorly, always suffering from things. So I think our job, as for those of us that are our consultants, is to 100% first of all help people be healthy, but more importantly, and as importantly, help people love themselves, love the skin that you're within.
Hmm. Yeah. Well said. Well said, Lorraine. Excellent. There is muscle mass, isn't the wastage of muscle mass is what ages you the fastest. Because when you fall, you break your bone. It's true. That's why protein is so important. Building the muscles. So interesting you should say that because when I lived in Africa, so our maid Jamina was skinny blinky, and she used to have like 17 cups of sugar in her tea because she wanted a big ass. Because in Africa, if you have a big booty, it means you can afford to eat. You are wealthy. Yeah. Now compare it to the Kate Moss. So this is back in, remember I was lived in Africa from 72 to 84, right? So this is back in that day. So your Kate Mosses and all these, these people, these models walking on the runway back in the time, I don't know whether she did, but a lot of them were snorting cocaine and they were skinny belinkies, and they were seen as beautiful. Isn't it funny how, you know, different continents were seeing the different ways you can afford to eat? Yes, that's attraction right there. or you could afford anything you want, but you look like skinny Belinky Twiggy. But that was earlier. That was 60s, right? So again, what is your perception of that? And what makes it healthy as well. That's the whole point, isn't it? So I love that. Has anyone seen that film with that girl? She falls off. She's a bit overweight. She falls off. She's on a cycling bike in a gym, and she hits her head, and she wakes up, and she thinks she's like a size 8 model. It's the funny Lorraine. Oh my God! Okay? You have to watch this. What is it called? What is it called? It's one of the funniest, best, great movies I've ever seen. It's yes, yes, it is. What is the name of the film? Everyone has to watch it. Is it? It's not Rebel Wilson, is it? That's not the name of the film. What is it? Someone on mute. Do we know? Gonna look it up. Go ahead, Steph.
It's I Feel Pretty with Amy Schumer.
Amy Schumer. I Feel
I
Pretty.
Feel
Who's
Pretty.
who's seen that film? Put your hands up if you've seen the film. Isn't it incredible? Okay, the rest of you haven't lived your life, especially you in the fashion world, Lorraine, because she goes to work in the most bitchiest, skinniest. I can't imagine. Awful thing. And honestly, they're all looking at her, and she thinks she looks like them. It is brilliant. She goes into a wet t-shirt competition, and she thinks she's got rolls, and she doesn't care. And it's so awesome when it says about confidence. Confidence is sexy. Yeah, but a brilliant, funny film. So please go watch that, and then I want you to tell me what you think about it. Can somebody put the name of it in the WhatsApp group as well, please? Um, yeah, Devil Wears Prada is out on the 1st of May. Yes. Now, when I earned the Tiffany incentive with Arbonne, which is they flew me to New York, gave me $1,000 to spend at Tiffany's. They took us for a meal in a restaurant next door to the office of Devil Wears Prada. So yeah, I was like, oh my gosh. Another thing I just want to say as well about um, what you eat. It's not, we always say it's not what you eat, is what you absorb, but it's more than food, because food doesn't equal your energy level. It's your words. It's everything, right? It's the sum of the whole and the whole of the sum, yeah? So what are you? Again, if you were to say the words inside of your head and we tattooed it on the outside of your body, would you still look so beautiful? That's really what this is about, isn't it? So interesting. And I just want to say, you talk about ironing boards. I saw this on a shop outside Stanford. Can you guys read that? When you said the ironing board, ironing boards are just surfboards that gave up on the dream. Don't be an ironing board. And all of us are surfing our lives, right? Every single day we're out surfing the waves. The high ones, the low ones, the ones that we get to ride in and look super cool, the ones that we get sand in our pants and we get flipped backwards, and life is a ride, right? We're all surfing every single day. Get your surfboard back out back out, back out, back out, right? That's what we do. All right, cool. Okay, so let's go on. Let's go to, um, but it is true about keeping your body all. Okay, so 135. So this is page 167. I'm going to get Chrissy. It's kind of halfway down, but it says the upper class focuses on success. Tell me when you found that. And also keep looking, because Dottie, you'll be reading too. So you're going to read from that all the way to people. They invest in other people. Wait, let me know when you found that, Chrissy.
Yep. 167, the upper class focuses on success.
Yes, so you're going to read that all the way to the more energy and effort they invest in other people.
Yep.
And then stop. And then Dottie, you're doing it from the success formula is similar all the way down to that's why we call them the great ones. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The upper class focuses on success. The world class focuses on significance. The great ones discover what fulfills them first and end up with success as a byproduct. Their secret to a fulfilling life is often through servant leadership to a large group of people who need their help. There is a direct correlation between their level of fulfillment and the magnitude of impact they have on the people they serve. In other words, the more significant the champions become in the lives of others, the more fulfillment they experience. And the more fulfillment they experience, the more energy and effort they invest in other people.
The success formula is similar, but requires that the performer help larger number of people in order to reap large rewards. The irony is that many great performers become successful without ever chasing success. The journey to fulfillment through helping other people creates success by natural law. By focusing on becoming a significant person in the life of others, they automatically gain the success that the masses so desperately seek. Their world-class success and fulfillment creates world-class happiness. That's why we call them the great ones.
The great ones. So funny, Tony Robbins has a 4-quadrant where he talks about 4 fundamental primal needs, and one is love and connection, one is certainty, one is uncertainty, and one is significance. And I kind of see significance as maybe sometimes not being the best thing, maybe the men who are very much, the materialistic, the ego, the validation stuff. But yet, in this context, it's a different significance. It's making a difference. Does anybody want to comment on that word significance? How do we view that word? Because he says the great ones evolve from success to significance. Go ahead.
Sorry, I meant to press the hand thing. I agree. I think this is back to, I'm a big thing about defining terms about what you're talking about, basically. And I think you just need to be clear what you mean by significance, because it's very broad and a bit floppy.
Yeah.
Doesn't really hit true for me in many ways. You just got to define what you mean.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Lorraine, what does significance mean? Can you?
what
is it?
I was just looking it up, and
I knew you were.
It's really bizarre. I just thought, I wonder what it says. And it says significance, the quality of being worthy of attention, importance. Adolescent education was felt to be a social issue of some significance, was one of the things. And then it says, the meaning to be found in words or event. The significance of what was happening was clearer to me than to her. So very bizarre. And then what is the meaning of significance? Significance means having the quality of being significant, meaningful, important. And it also refers to the meaning of something. So it's a bit bizarre. And then it says, what is another word for significance, which I thought was interesting. And it says some common synonyms of significance are consequence, importance, moment, and weight.
All right.
Who knew?
Okay.
Who knew?
Who knew indeed? I feel like we're doing a study of Shakespeare right now in one word, like to be or not to be, that is the question. Dottie, your hand is up.
Yeah, I was thinking of yesterday. I work, some of you know, or most of you, I'm a social worker. So I work for the local council. And I've actually been there nearly 20 years. And it was actually first time we had like a celebration of success, because I was helping another social worker student for a year. I was guiding her, supervising, and in her like first year of employment. So they said when we've done it, then we've been invited for a celebration. And usually, with Arbor, it's like, well done, 500 kiwis, we were clapping. So I'm so used to it. But when we were sitting yesterday there, they're like, oh, well done. And everybody got up and got the certificate. I was like, oh, this is really strange. And I'm like, why is it so different that, in Arbor, we're doing it and it's more natural? And actually in my daily work, it was feeling quite like, oh, I'm not sure. But going back to the significance, because then one of the manager comes out and he was like reading, they more sitting behind the desk, they creating the policies, but he said it's actually you people who are out there working with others who make the significant changes, who are talking to the people, who are listening to them. Because of course there's a system, and a lot of people, come to us when they not well, when there is a big change, when they're in crisis. But it's actually us workers who go there and say, tell me, what are you struggling with? Or they gave example, they had really good Like people saying, "What is the problem? I know I cannot fix it, but I'm here. Tell me, you know." And they said sometimes we are the first people who are actually going out and make a significant change because actually first time ever they're going to be hurt. We might not be able to help them and solve everything, but we are that connection. So when we were reading that, I thought like, oh, it links to what happened yesterday.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. That's put a lot of light on for me. Isn't that funny? Not even your first language, and you can help me with the answer. Thank you. Amazing, Dottie, amazing. I still want you to read me bedtime stories. You should maybe think of that as a side hustle, bedtime story reader, and we can just play the tape at night. And I remember when I went to get my angel cards written by Nikki for January or February 2013, and she gave me this it was like a CD. Was it even a tape? I can't remember. And it was about helping chakra cleansing, like a kind of meditation. And I played it, and I didn't even know it was her. It was her voice, and I was like, that's so professional. It was Nikki. I was like, oh my God, like I love it. All right. I just really want to go quickly back to what we read before it with the weight, page 161, everybody. Did anybody do the action step for today and remove all their clothes, stand in front of a full-length mirror, and write a paragraph on what you see? Anyone actually do that and look at their bodies naked?
So
No.
part of the 75 hard is to take a picture of yourself every day and post it on their little app that they have. So people who are doing 75 hard, but there isn't like write a paragraph, but I'm sure we all have that mental thought process
Yeah.
going on what we look at when we see our
Is it
image.
naked paragraph? I mean, naked body.
It doesn't have to be, but I mean, the more you see, the better you can see the change in results, I
Oh.
guess.
Right, okay. I always remember, thank you, Chrissy. I remember Rita Davenport saying about public speaking, if people look at you and judging you, well, imagine them all naked stood in front of a mirror, jumping up and down, then who's judging who now kind of thing. So I never forgot that. So in Vegas, I'll be seeing you all naked, jumping up and down in
I
front of a mirror.
used to do art or modeling classes, so it was the opposite. I was the one naked, sitting there, like quietly modeling.
Oh, wow. And how long did you do that for, Chrissy?
Oh, geez, quite some time. Yeah, all through Vermont. It was like one of my side hustles to pay the
Oh,
bills.
wow.
And, yeah,
Did
sit
you,
and stillness.
was it not embarrassing or was it?
No, my mom, I grew up, my mom's an artist. She would draw us when we'd sleep. Like art has always been involved in our lives. And just when I got older, it actually, funny story, I didn't do it naked at first. I did it in clothes. And then one day I showed up and they were just like, the teacher was like, and today we're so lucky we have a naked model. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just got naked and did it. So,
Wow, that's brave. I think that's brave. Yeah.
and then
Were
that
you
was my
lying on a
new
chaise
thing.
lounge?
Yeah, and then that was,
Were you
but
lying on a chaise?
it's a lot of work. You have to sit still, like Karen was saying. It's work to sit there and be still and quiet in that stillness,
How
especially
long?
when you're naked in 3 hours. But you change poses. But I
Oh,
did it oil painting, sitting, and it was 3 hours at a time, and that was like for months. But that was dressed. I wore like a
wow. What
bikini.
happens if you get cold and your nipples stick out? Like,
And they paint them hard. I mean,
I guess
that's immortalized. You're like, that's how
yeah,
you'll be remembered for life. I'd rather be
that's
perky than
true.
sagging, right?
I already have
Like,
my third nipple here. I don't need, I get rumors of that. Anyway, moving swiftly on. I hope Karen's fella's listening. Trying to be as rude as possible here. Okay, so we have got okay, we touched on that. Let's flick over. All right. Emotional intelligence, page 185, number 151. The world class develops emotional intelligence. As Steph has been so quiet, can you please read the quote by Daniel Goleman? Steph, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.
It's so nice to be here. The secret of success is not what they taught you in school. What matters most is not IQ, not a business school degree, not even technical know how or years of expertise. The single most important factor in job performance and advancement is emotional intelligence.
Now, would you agree with that? And why?
100%. We're human beings, not human doings.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And Emotional intelligence, is that something we are born with or we develop, or is it more prone in girls than boys, or how do we work on that stuff?
Me or in general?
You want say that again,
Yeah.
Steph?
You're asking me or
Yeah, no,
in general?
you. I'm picking on
Um,
you.
you're picking on me. Okay, great. I would say both. I think it's nature and nurture. It's your curiosity, you know, the values. Maybe, if you were fortunate enough to be born in an environment where people valued that more than accomplishments, linear accomplishments, you get a head start. But I think ultimately being alive and in the world, participating in the world, you cannot not be connected to the role of emotions. And, that's the driver. And people can be, I think when people say, are you A type? Are you a B type personality? Whatever it is, stripping all of those things away, because those are ultimately trappings and things how we want to define ourselves, how we choose to define ourselves. But I don't personally take a lot of stock in that, because when the shit hits the fan and you have a crisis, whether it's a medical crisis, whether it's a financial crisis, whether it's, whatever, people who lose their homes in fires, whatever it is, that's, I think, when you uncover your emotional intelligence, when it is revealed and it's ever evolving. I don't think it has to be static. So I think it's a very active gift we have, to explore it and to value it,
That we all have.
that we all have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Thank
it's
you.
whether we think it's worth developing or not. And maybe, you go through a time in your life where you're not paying too much attention to that, and then suddenly it becomes primordially important.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you so much. Karen, your hand is up.
Funnily enough, I've just started reading the book Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goldman, and talks very much about the different parts of the brain, the limbic system, which is more I think the emotional center, the amygdala, and the neocortex. So it basically talks about you've got some people who are very much in tune with their emotions because they're self-aware. So, for instance, you'll have some particular types of individuals who will ask themselves the question, what emotion am I feeling, and why am I feeling this emotion, and what emotion is this? Where you have other people that don't, that will, oh God, I can't remember the name of this. It's a sort of condition where they are incapable of asking the questions as to what type of emotion they are feeling. So your emotions, as Steph quite rightly said, are quite primordial. They're so instinctively based within the reptilian brain. And as we grow up and we get exposed to different types of experiences, the emotions that they create, we imprint within ourselves. So, for instance, if you don't do the work, if someone pisses you off, angry 4-year-old Karen might come out. But then, if angry 4-year-old Karen wants to come out, if I'm more self-aware, I will ask myself the question, why am I feeling this? And can I express this in a different way? So, emotional intelligence is probably more important than intellectual intelligence, because just because you're intellectually intelligent and you've got a high IQ does not mean that you're emotionally intelligent whatsoever. And there's like apparently research to suggest that individuals who were maybe like A graders at school, A graders at university have very poor emotional intelligence, whereas you might have someone at school was just bang average, but their emotional intelligence allows them to succeed at higher levels throughout their career because they can relate to people. And that's the most important thing. People buy people. People are not very much, and people are not interested in the fact that you've got 4 PhDs and you can basically recite whatever it is that you've studied for years. People want to feel. because that's how we talk to each other energetically. So I've just started reading the book, but if I highly suggest that you buy it and you read it. It's by Daniel Goldman, Emotional Intelligence, fantastic book.
And that
So
might be
yeah,
one for another day in book club, I think. Hey, sounds
yeah,
good.
definitely.
I like it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And I always say to people, when they they look at Arbon about joining our team, and I always say, look, I don't really care about your IQ. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good they can read and write, sure, but it's your I want. It's the things that I can't teach you. I can teach you skills, but it's your passion, it's your purpose, it's your tenacity, it's your honesty, it's your, listening skills, it's your all of that. That's what you bring to the table. That's on you. That's the I can, not the IQ. So again, it's that thing about, we're always in work, working on ourselves. Okay, we are almost done. We started a bit late, so I'm going to run over 3 minutes, guys. The last one, page 211, which is number 172. The world class relies on infinite intelligence. Good way to end on this. So we'll have the top of it. Shannon, you're going to read from the world's class spirit driven all the way to others believe it taps into both. And then I'm going to have, we'll go back around to, let's do this to Nikki as Lorraine read over her when she was meant to read some sentences. So sorry about that, Nikki. So we'll have you read from whatever their individual belief all the way down to on a higher frequency. Off we go.
The world class's spirit driven consciousness is one of the biggest advantages they have in business and in life. Champions are not ashamed to ask for help, whether it comes in the form of a mentor or a higher consciousness. One of the ancient secrets of the great ones is asking for guidance and wisdom from a higher level of awareness. Secularists call it meditation, the spiritual call it prayer. Secularists believe and the wisdom meditation offers come from inside the mind. The spiritual believe their wisdom comes from God. Others believe it taps into both. Whatever their individual belief, the great ones believe in a source of higher.
Hold on, that was meant to be Nikki starting from
Sorry.
there.
Sorry.
It's secularists, just to say.
Secular.
So it's like about being secular.
Oh, thank you.
No worries, just whatever their individual belief, the great ones believe in a source of higher intelligence upon which they can draw. Champions know the secret to connecting to a higher plane is tuning into the vibrational frequency of the source. This begins by quieting the mind. I can't say it. The secularists seek out a quiet place. The spiritual often go to church. The goal is to create sufficient space between their thoughts in order to gain perspective and begin thinking on a higher frequency.
Thank you. So tell me, what's that secular then? What is that, Nikki, exactly? Do you know?
I don't know the dictionary definition, which somebody, but I hope will look up. But
Lorraine's off.
I think the thing is these are two words which, again, we need to define our terms. So secularists and spiritual for me are not very well used here. I think it's quite confusing.
I agree.
I mean, he's confusing spiritual with people who have any kind of faith.
Religious.
Really. Yeah, anything.
I felt the same
Whereas
way.
we call spiritual something else, don't we, really?
Yeah, we do.
I felt the same way. I felt that
Yeah.
I feel spiritual is not tied to the religion, actually. And I felt that he was confusing the both as well.
Yeah. And
So we have a
secularists, I can't even say the word, are very feel very limited and sort of, and I don't want to sound judgmental, but that sort of quite limited and just like this is the way, and it's very kind of dogmatic. Whereas spiritual people are very much more open to all kinds of influences, and
Yeah, I agree.
We have a definition. Lorraine, what's the definition, my lovely? She's just looked it up.
Yeah, so it says the meaning of secularist is in English, someone who believes that religion should not be involved with the ordinary social and political activities of a country. Secularists condemn Christian influence in the public sphere.
Yeah, the autocratic. Okay, interesting. So yes, so the infinite intelligence, however, is always going to be there. And I'm going to end on the Bill Gove where he says religion is about obedience, Spirituality is about self-discovery. Amen to that. All right, ladies. There we go. Finito. Goodbye. No, I'm joking. I need my bookshelf is like, no, it was, you know what number was that? 21? We're doing 22 next week. What, Chrissy? Can't hear you.
I think this was 20, but I can
20.
check.
Oh, okay, so we're on to 21. Great. Okay, fading forward, John Maxwell. I would love to wish you all the rest of your day, wherever you are, what country, time zone. Enjoy, enjoy. Obviously, we'll be the same next month, I guess, before everything goes weird on the clocks. So we're still going to show up this time and just send you all lots of love and light. Take care, everyone. Bye. Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.